Hello, everyone. I apologize I'm not there to celebrate along with you. But September is crunch time for us teachers, especially those of us with kids of our own. But luckily, we were able to visit in August and help Sherry with this beautiful evening. I want to say a very special thank you to Sherry for making tonight so perfect. Dad must love looking down on it from above. I also wanted to give a special thank you to all of the friends and family who have supported her during this difficult time, especially Denny and Peter for being there right from the beginning. Living far away is difficult for grief, but I think our family has done it exceptionally well. For most of you, my father was Dr. Richard Heuser, perhaps Dr. Wonderful, but to me he was Dad, well, Super Dad, and I was his monk. This was short for Monkey, which was based off of a dream he had that I would be born covered in hair. Luckily, that wasn't the case. While his colleagues and patients saw an incredibly brilliant man who thought outside the box of traditional cardiology, I saw a man who would loudly sing the greatest hits of the 70s at 9 a.m. on a Saturday in super short running shorts while I was trying to get some more sleep. But really, my dad was vibrant. My dad was brilliant. And my dad was a force to be reckoned with. But the real gift he had lay with the person that he was to others. My father was unrelentingly positive and supportive. My dad was everybody's biggest cheerleader, and mine most of all. He always supported my art. He said he could never draw, but according to my grandmother, the teachers were worried, as he was the only child in kindergarten who hated to finger paint. But yet, my dad made me feel like a Picasso from the age of 3. "No, your teacher drew this," he would say in a voice dripping in feigned disbelief. And I would always be so proud. And he would always tell me how proud he was of me. When I became an educator, and later on a mother, I discovered that this is probably the most important thing you can tell a child, besides "I love you," which he also told me every day. I know he would lift everyone up around him, my stepmom and I most of all, which is something I will really miss. Now that isn't to say, however, that he didn't give me a bitter dose of reality when I needed it. He was particularly good at delivering those. The expectations were always high. Maintain good grades, do your best, be polite and kind while you do so, always have a job, no excuses. He made sure I started working at 16 in his office. I was unprofessional and distracted, but he and his awesome staff supported me. And some of those memories working with my dad are my favorite, because for the first time I saw the magic that he would make with his patients. I saw him make a 90-year-old woman blush when he came in saying, "Good morning, young lady," watching him offer to help a particularly complex patient when every other doctor had turned them away and had given up on them. He was the sort of doctor that would make you laugh and feel at ease, which is something really special. But one thing that was most important about my dad was his relationship with Sherry. I want to take a moment and express just how special their marriage was. My dad asked for my blessing before he asked Sherry to marry him. It was the perfect thing for a divorced dad to do for his teenage daughter. And I told him, "Absolutely, what has taken you so long? You should marry her, but don't break her heart." Let me tell you the story of my dad before he met Sherry. In one word, mustache. Apparently, on their first date, she pulled out a pair of scissors and trimmed up his walrus hairs, right there at the table. Now, most men would have been taken aback. But no, my father loved it. He loved the attention. Sherry always doted on my dad, and I'm so thankful that she became a part of our lives, because my dad required a lot of attention. And this is when my husband chimes in, "Who does that remind me of?" But Sherry was the yin to my father's yang. They were a perfectly balanced couple, the kind you see in movies. He would always talk about how much he admired her businesswoman acumen, her common sense, and her great cooking. My dad was an incredible inventor and doctor, but he couldn't do a thing in the kitchen. He once succeeded in exploding a Pyrex pan trying to make me pancakes. But everything he couldn't do, Sherry did, including making great pancakes. And one of the things my dad wouldn't do was take breaks. Thank God Sherry was there to make sure that he wouldn't work himself to death. She and I had many conversations about how important it was to make sure that she got him out of the office and out into nature. Unfortunately, I'm intimately familiar with how dark the end of life can look for certain people. And I'm so thankful that God took my dad how he did. When my father passed, he was happy, on holiday, of a lifetime, in a beautiful place, with his soulmate and life companion. And the powers that be even made sure that Denny and Peter were there along for the trip to support Sherry when my dad was no longer there. My dad ran marathons well into his end of life. He wasn't a man fit for a long fight on a deathbed. My father was my hero, and he was my super dad. When I was a little girl, I would imagine him like a knight riding on horseback to come and save me. He was the most amazing person I had ever met. Every day I used to wake up wanting to make him proud and make him happy. And he always told me I did. Even when the worst thing in the world happened to me, when my firstborn baby girl was diagnosed with incurable cancer, he was my guiding light and my fortitude. He inspired me and helped me to purchase and refurbish a house while managing my daughter's palliative care, while pregnant and continuing to work. I always thought if my father could do it, I could do it too. In so many ways, my father was a perfect parent. Even after my daughter's death, and I lost my mind, having a massive breakdown, I really wasn't myself, but he still loved me, and he was still there for me, no matter what. Now, that isn't to say that he didn't yank my chain. I once went to school and told all my classmates that Sherry was in fact a world-class card shark and that they were going to clean up on their trip to Monte Carlo. Newsflash, that wasn't true. And then once he told me that he had met President Clinton, which I also told my entire class, only to find out that it was a cardboard cutout at a party. If there's one thing I would ask you to take from today, it would be this. Be a cheerleader. Lift up those around you. I am now on the path to become a qualified counselor, trying my best to continue my dad's legacy of helping others. And what we learn early on is something called unconditional positive regard. This is what my father gave me, and what I ask you to give those around you. Be their biggest cheerleader. Tell those you love that you're proud of them. Tell them that they're doing an incredible job. Tell them that they are the best you've ever seen. And ask them, did your teachers do that? I love you, Dad. Please keep an eye on my little girl until we can join you. We are still having some cheerleading to finish up down here. I love you all and have a lovely night. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.